welcome to the Yarn Parlor. I'm Allison. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as alevitt1. Today is Tuesday, April 26th. This is episode 15. You can find the show notes in our Ravelry group. The link is below in the bar somewhere. And this is my podcast about knitting, spinning, and knitwear design. I wanted to say hi and a huge thank you to Mina from the Knitting Expat, who mentioned me in her last week's episode. That was really nice, and I'm super happy that she likes my podcast. And I wanted to say a big hello to all of the new subscribers that I got from her mention. So I hope you guys stick with me and you like the show as well. And hi and welcome to all new and returning viewers in general. I'm from the States. I grew up in Rhode Island. I've lived in Minnesota, New York, and Hawaii, and about a year and a half ago I moved to Tel Aviv, Israel, where I am filming from right now. And what else? I learned how to knit in Girl Scouts, and then it kind of fizzled out. And I picked it back up again right before college. I went to college for fashion design, specifically, and then worked in New York City specifically for sweaters and cut and sew knits. And yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. Right now I'm working on becoming a knitwear pattern designer. Yeah, that's it. So in this episode, I want to go over inspiration, machine knitting, my FO. Yeah, that's right. I have an FO. After like 2 months of no FOs, I have one. Very excited. My knitting whips, spinning, a couple knitting acquisitions, and I wanted to end it with, I took a video of Jerusalem. I was there this weekend for a holiday, and so I thought I might as well take some video of some of the attractions in Jerusalem while I was there. So I'll show those at the end of the episode. I made a note to say that I often try to shorten my episodes. Every week I'm trying to shorten my episodes because they're just, I don't know, an hour just seems really long, but I always, when I sit down on Monday nights to write my show notes, it exceeds the half hour that I try to stick to. I just have so much that I want to talk to you guys about that I can never keep it short and condensed. So I think I'm going to have to learn how to speak faster. So that I can condense my episodes. That was funny that I made a note about that to share with you guys. Must try to make shorter podcasts. This week I want to talk about inspiration because it's the word of the week. I've made it the word of the week. I started a design challenge created by ArohaKnits. I want to say, I pronounce it wrong because I know it's not Aroha, it's Aroha. She's, Frenchie is the woman who is the owner of ArohaKnits. I can't do it. I want to say it like aloha, but it's Japanese and the accent is on the ha part of the word. I can't do it. You guys get what I'm saying. Anywho, I'll put a link in the show notes, obviously. She came up with a design challenge, which I talked about last week, and it started yesterday. And the challenge is it's like an introduction to designing a pattern, the steps that you should go through to get from point A to point F of a final pattern, written pattern. She is doing this as a very introductory into an e-course that she is launching on May 2nd on how to write a pattern, design and write patterns. So I signed up for the challenge because I thought that it would just be really great. I'm very interested in her design class, and I thought that doing this design challenge would be a lot of fun. Plus, she's picking winners, and I could possibly win her course for free. So that's a really good incentive to do her design challenge. So yesterday was the first day, like I said, and it was about inspiration. So she picked a theme, and which I think is really great because it helps people stay focused on the task at hand. Like, the whole point is not to get bogged down with my trouble last week with my machine knitting is I chunked out 2 hours of time to look up inspiration for my swatches, and I just couldn't design. Like, it was I was thinking too wide. Well, I didn't have a theme, so I was just like, I'm gonna look up inspiration and see what strikes, what helps me create. And I couldn't find anything. There were other things I had to do that day. I just wasn't in the right mindset. So creating a theme as a starting point was awesome, to be honest, because that's just one simple step of the whole design process, and you can definitely get very overwhelmed with just finding inspiration. So I think that's really great that she chose a theme for you to start the whole inspiration process. And she is trying to keep this very mellow and slow moving, not slow moving, but in short periods of time. She doesn't want you to stay all day thinking about each step of the way, because that creates a ton of work, and she's trying to keep this light and motivational and fun. So I think it was a really great start. And next week I can actually explain what I did for my challenge. I'll go into greater detail because today's only day 2. I haven't gotten the email yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm looking at stitches though. I think that's her next step that she created, was looking up stitch patterns based on your inspiration. So I think that's it. Maybe it's stitches and yarn. I don't know. But looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited that I'm doing this design challenge this week, because I'm also taking this week to work on my machine knitting and inspiration for that. So what I did was, for my machine knitting, the difference between the two designing experiences is that my machine knitting, I already have my swatches. I've already got my yarn picked out. So I had to design based around that yarn, based around that swatch. So I had to look at the yarn and figure out what its properties are, how it's going to look in a garment, and kind of design around that, using those as my boundaries, almost like a theme, using those as my focal point. So I can't do, like, I'm using a lot of silks and cottons, because what I want to do is design some summer tops for this year. Tops, tunics, easy breezy kind of styles. Using cotton, silks, linen, bamboo, using more summer yarns. So a lot of those are flowy and drapey. Cotton can be a little bit stiffer. So using those principles, designing things around that. I have my little sketchbook, and I went to Pinterest on Sunday, and I kind of just searched a whole bunch of different stuff. And I'll sketch. I'm gonna hold it like, you probably can't even see what I did. I want to hold it way back here because I'm not a good drawer. Words. So I'll sketch. I hope this is coming out, and it looks blown out from back here on the camera. But I sketch a front and a back, and I'll make little notes like what yarn I was going to use. If as I'm sketching, I'm like, oh, I want to do a rib trim, definitely I'll write rib trim on there to remind myself like how I wanted to construct it. And then I'll put in the measurements, basic measurements: chest, bottom opening, body length, the neck width, armhole depth, so that when I go to write my rough draft pattern, I already have the measurements there, and I just have to take my swatch measurements of stitches and rows per inch and just plug in the numbers. Just so, for me, it makes my design process quicker if I have basic body measurements to start from, and also those trim details. So again, I'm not sitting at my knitting machine ready to knit and going, what did I want to do there? How wide is this? How many do I have to cast on? So when I set up my machine, because it's a really long machine, it doesn't take that much time to set it up, but it's kind of like if you don't have a sewing area, which I don't, so I have to constantly bring my sewing machine out, set it up, and then put it back when I'm done with it. I need more space. My yarn is taking over. But I don't want to set up my machine and have it sitting there for a day and then try and figure out my measurements, because I might need that space for something else. So when I set up my machine, I like to be ready. That was way too much information for that segment. Anyway, that's my process. That's how I run things. When I set up my machine, I want to start knitting right away. I don't want to have to work on my pattern. So when I'm sketching, I'll draw in the numbers to get my rough draft into pattern form faster, into a written stitch count pattern form faster. I think that's it for my inspiration week, and then I'll work on knitting the actual panels and pieces the end of this week. So next episode I should have some actual knitted panels, hopefully a knitted garment to show you from my machine knitting. And this month's research topic was brioche stitch. So if you are interested in learning how to do brioche or need some helpful tips, go to the Ravelry group. In the pages, you'll find my second page's topic is brioche, and there will be, I haven't made it yet, I'm making it today. It'll be there by the time this goes up on YouTube. There are links to things that I found helpful when doing my exploration station and the brioche stitch, and then some other links that other people had found helpful. So you can go there and hopefully learn how to do the brioche stitch if that's something you're into. Also, if at any point you have links that you found helpful for doing any of my topics, I do a topic a month, I research it, and to create this reference library. If you found something helpful, just join the group, and then you can edit the pages by adding in links that you found helpful. Please do not delete any of the links, even if you didn't find them helpful. I want to create a library of places where one might be able to find help. Also, if there's anything that you want to learn about, just let me know so I can add it to one of the monthly topics, and then I'll research it, and hopefully what I find can help you in your knitting endeavors. On to my FO. Yes! It's my Exploration Station by Stephen West, and it's amazing. Finally, this took me 2 months, the full 2 months. He started, Eric from Sticks Plus Twine podcast started, can you see the whole thing? Started this knit along in March? Yes, in March. It ends May 5th. This is the first cal that I have ever finished on time, which is awesome. And I definitely thank Eric for that because he did, thank you, Eric. He did a wonderful job with his timeline. I think the only reason that I never got to my end date on time for Cal's is because it's kind of like a start here, end here, and figure it out yourself. And then I'll just get bored and put it down and never make it to the time. And he set up this timeline of section 1, do it from this week to this week. Section 2, do it from this week to this week. And I think it really helped because apparently I need to be babied in my getting things done in a timely fashion when knitting is involved. But there is my exploration station. It's gorgeous. I love it. It's massive, which I love even more. Just in time for summer in the Middle East. I'm like, it gets so hot here. Anyway, what else did I want to say? The rows I've discussed before got incredibly long and I just couldn't deal this chevron section. It was really hard to do these rows and stay focused on getting it done. I only had a couple left from last episode to this, so that was awesome. And my cast off, I love casting off a project. It could be 800 stitches. I've never had to do 800 stitches, but I just love it because it means that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like you start with like your 400 and you cast off a couple and you're like, only 300 more to go, only 100 more to go, and you're done. Well, you have to block it and weave in all the ends. But at least there's a light at the end of the tunnel. With the long rows, I can't even see my progress. I'll knit like 4 rows and it's just, you're like, is that a 1/4 of an inch? What did I just add to this? Like that was nothing. But with a cast off, it's happening. Stitches are coming off the needles. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I love that aspect. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm not the type of knitter who's like, the cast off took forever, I just wanted to get it done. I love casting off projects, every aspect. No matter how many stitches, no matter what cast off I do. Yeah, I love casting off projects to turn into finished objects. Now I wanted to show how I would wear this, but I don't want to mess up my microphone and make that crazy white noise thing, so I'm going to take my mic off and hopefully you guys will still be able to hear me. If not, it's more of a visual anyway. So there's a couple ways that I would wear this. First, I'm actually going to show you how I would not wear this. Normally, I would take the 2 ends of a shawl and wrap them around my neck and just wear something like this. But there's too much fabric right here and I don't like that aspect. So how I would wear this is there's a front way and a back way. How do I normally do this? Okay. So if I'm going from the back, it's so funny to watch myself in the video. Okay, so I would do almost in thirds, but what I want to do is create this kind of poncho-y feel. So I would definitely drape this shawl more like a poncho to cover my body instead of like a cowl around my neck. So that is with the majority, or like the larger center part, more towards the back. Kind of like that. And then the other way, they look very similar both ways. But in general, if you wanted to do the middle in the front, I would wrap both ends more towards the front. Oh, I'm hooked on my necklace. And kind of drape it more like this, or again, tilt this over. Anyway, just kind of drape it around, loosey-goosey. And yeah, more definitely covering my shoulders and trying to keep it more as a poncho style just because it's massive. And there's no way that I could keep that thing with just so much fabric around my neck. So that is how I will be wearing my exploration station. And I'm so excited that it's done. Let me put this back on. Now on to, oh, I should be showing you guys my swatch challenge for this month, but I did not get to the last couple swatches of my Captiva yarn, and so I will be showing you those next week. Onto my whips. My first one is my April socks, which is still April sock because I didn't get that much further into my sock knitting. I've started the heel. This is the Vanilla is the New Black. And I started the heel section, which is this ribbed heel. I have about 7 more. It's a 2-row repeat thing, and I've got 7 more of those 2 rows. And then I will start the foot for the short rows first. Whatever. You know how to construct a sock. I'm halfway there. This yarn is, oh, the pattern is by Anneh Fletcher. And the yarn I'm using is 3 Irish Girls. This is the Glenhaven Cashmerino Fingering. Colorway Octopus's Garden. It's 80 merino, 10 cashmere, 10 nylon. And this is only found at a Good Yarn Sarasota. It's their exclusive colorway based off of the owner's husband's photo. He takes marine photos, and I love this yarn. I want to buy loads more of this yarn. It's really amazing. The colors are beautiful. They knit up so much fun. They're so much fun to knit with. Ooh. And this is where I was last week, my little Huma Huma progress keeper. And I don't know what else to talk about. Oh, there's slight pooling with my increases, so I kind of wanted to point that out. Oh yeah, you can totally see it right there, that little boomerang shape right there. Okay, it's kind of boomerang shaped. We'll go with it. So it's got this kind of stripy pattern here with the darker, if you look at the focus on the darker red, burgundy, darker color. And then as soon as I start my increases this side, it kind of shoots across here and then back up here and does this little pooling, but I love it. I think it's awesome. There's so many colors that are involved with this that I kind of like pooling anyway. So I never liked it before because it was visually, I didn't understand it and I wanted to correct it, but now I love it. And it looks awesome with these colors because I love all of the colors that are in this sock. Anywho, I don't think that I'll finish my April socks on time. However, they'll get done because I do like knitting on them. So I've said before that I don't really like sock knitting, but I think that it's more or less, I gave myself this challenge not having knit that I'm knitting a pair of socks a month. I've created this challenge this year for me, and I think it might have been a little bit too soon. I'm excited to knit the socks, but I can't actually knit them fast enough. I think that's where I'm getting bogged down and start dislike sock knitting. I look through the patterns and I absolutely love so many patterns, but I just knit slow. So trying to do a sock a month is now starting to waterfall into the other months. Hopefully they'll get done. Maybe I'll take 1 month this year just to finish all my socks that I've started, because I have my Duck Dynasty camo socks from last month still going, but those are knee highs, so those will take more time in general. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe a month later this year I will just finish all of my socks my monthly socks that I haven't been able to finish, to clean my sock plate. That's a good idea. Glad I thought of that. Oh, I'm knitting these on US ones 2.25, my Knitter's Pride Nova Cubics Platina. And I like them. I do like knitting with DPNs. I think it's fun for some reason. I can't really explain it. I enjoy it. That's that. My other project that I worked on this week is my design, which I also didn't finish. I thought I was going to have the back panel done for you guys and possibly linked together, but I didn't finish the back panel. I got more done, but it's just not finished. So here's what I have. I need to finish this section to match this height, and then the back panel will be done. I'm using Captiva is the black, which is a Barocco yarn, and the white is Habu wrapped silk. The Habu wrapped silk, paper, silk wrapped paper. It's item number N94. This is color 9, which is a white and navy. And the Captiva, do I have any more in here? I don't think I have it in skein form, but here it is caked up. It is Barocco Captiva. I forgot the contents. I know it's cotton, acrylic, and nylon. Maybe? Where is it? No, of course I didn't write it down. It's definitely in the show notes, and every single time I've shown this, I have mentioned its content, so I'm sure last episode it's in there somewhere. It's just, this design is a boxy tee, no sleeves, sleeveless boxy tee, and it has shifted seams. So instead of placing them at the side, I've shifted them to the front and the back. And that's it for whips. I think there was something else I was going to say about that and I forgot. No, that's probably it. I want to go over my knitting acquisitions. So these are things that I had from last year, because a couple are yarn. And I've also made a challenge that I'm not buying yarn this year. And I'm still with my challenge. I haven't bought any yarn this year. But what I'm about to show you was purchased or given to me last year. I had shipped it to my parents' house because I was going to be there in December, or was there in December, and these are just some late arrivals, and my parents are really slow at shipping things to me. Love you, Mom and Dad. I don't think they watch this show, but in case they are, I'm covering all my bases. So the first thing is Ancient Art Yarns, from their Meow collection. It is 70 superwash, 20 cashmere, and 10 nylon, so it's an MCN, 3-ply fingering sock, 372 yards. This is from a dyer in Canada, and this is their gray tuxedo. So these yarns in this collection, they have a Meow collection and a Woof collection, and they're based off of animal colorways, basically. And part of the proceeds, here's their little flyer, a portion of the proceeds from the Meow and Woof collection are donated to benefit stray and abandoned cats. But they have the colors based off of dogs and cats. This one is a gray tuxedo, and if you watched the last episode, that is exactly what my cat looks like. So I wanted these to become Smoky Bones socks. And there's a pattern by Ryan Anderson called Paw Print socks, yes. And it just has a little eyelets in the design of a paw print that go up the front of the sock. I think it's also like ribbed with this design around it, or ribbed around the design. So that's what I wanted to do with this sock yarn. And the other yarn that I got, which I actually didn't order, I won from Laura, the podcaster from the Dyer's Notebook podcast. Yeah. This is, hi Laura. This is from her 1,000 subscriber giveaway, which was in like November or December, and I won this yarn, and I was already back in Israel, and I was like, you're doing this giveaway. I'm not about to ask you to spend crazy money to ship it to me in Israel. My parents already had stuff to ship, so I just had her send it there. And now I finally got it to be able to knit with it. But this colorway is Slytherin. It's a self-striping sock yarn, sport sock, and it is from BCY, which is Berry Colorful Yarnings. You can find them on Etsy, and I will also put them in the show notes. And here is her card. It is 80 superwash merino, 20 nylon, 325 yards, 100 grams. And so thank you very much, Laura. A very, very belated thank you. But I love this yarn. The colors are really great. It looks like it's just like plain green, gray, black, but the gray has this, I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of like a green undertone anyway. It makes it moodier. It's not like a hard gray. I don't know. I like it. I like the colors. And it's Slytherin. I could have done the Harry Potter cal, but my parents were lazy. Just kidding. No, I'm not. Okay. The last thing that I got were some more stitch markers or progress keepers from Suker Miniatures. These were the Christmas ones that I had ordered. I can use them any time of the year. It's okay. But I got this little cookie with the snowflake on it. The tree cookie. The little garland. I don't know if you're seeing this. And a sugar plum. Progress keeper. Oh, hold still. She makes amazing. Oh, my battery's running low. She makes amazing stitch markers. She still has some Easter ones up of her peeps, and I think I might have to order some of those. They're awesome. She hand makes all of them. The designer, sculptor is Chelsea, and she does a wonderful, wonderful job. Almost 80% of my stitch markers are from Sucre Miniatures, so check those out if you have not done that yet. My spinning FO, I've finally finished my From Up on Poppy Hill Rolags that I bought, which are Cormo Silk, Firestar, and Nylon. Here are those. I made a 2-ply using the long draw method. This is the, you can see the one that I soaked first, that bled, and then I soaked the rest of them in warm, not boiling water, and they did not bleed. So there goes that. This was the last one that I did. I think I'm getting better at the long draw method. I still don't really have a handle on it. I still create more of a thick and thin yarn. As you can see, it's very inconsistent, but I kind of like that about it. Spinning with these Rolags reminded me of the circus because of the bright, colorful colors, obviously. And also, as I was wrapping it around my spindle, it kind of just looked like cotton candy because there were sections of it that weren't like this one and this that are like hardly spun at all. So it just looks so fluffy and fun. So, since this week is an inspiration week, I think I'm going to try and design a top using this yarn with the theme of circus. So hopefully that'll work out. Obviously I'll have to bring, it's not enough for a whole top, so I'll have to bring in another yarn, but I don't know. I got really interested with this color. It just reminds me of the circus so much. So here's my spinning FO. And the rest of this week, I'm gonna work with what I showed on my Acreworks spindles, which was the Classy Squid Fiberco Oyster Rolags and Ice Cabbage. I think I said Snow Cabbage last time, but it's Ice Cabbage is the name. And that is Polworth. So I'm gonna work on those, and I think I'm also going to try and make a sample of the Blaine Fleece and Fiber art bat that Jennifer so kindly gave to me, because I want to spin that as a 2-ply, a really fine 2-ply, so I'm kind of excited to see how that's gonna look. And that is my spinning for this week. Yes. And on to Confessions of a Knitter. And this week I wanted to share about using stitch markers, or in my case, the lack of using stitch markers. I hardly ever use stitch markers. It doesn't stop me from buying them, I just never use them. And I think part of it, while writing this whole topic out, I kind of came to the conclusion that it's mostly because I never really knew where to use them. I didn't know how to simplify my knitting, but I had a light bulb moment on like the last row of my exploration station with the chevrons. I talked about last week how this chevron section, it's not completely mindless because you need to know where to put this decrease section, but it's also not a lace pattern where you have to be totally focused looking at a chart for every stitch type of lace. But I kept on missing where to put my decrease because I would be like, oh, it's mindless knitting, and then just miss where that decrease was. And on the very last row, I was like, oh, I could have put a stitch marker for every decrease to let me know, and then I wouldn't have to count stitches, and long story short, I could have placed a stitch marker there, and it would have made my knitting much more mindless and easy to accomplish on these really long rows. So another reason to use stitch markers A lot of people have been talking about using it for lace, sectioning off your lace repeats, so you know where you made a mistake. You can go repeat by repeat. And Mina from the Knitting Expat last week talked about a way to use the stitch markers, and it bears repeating because I thought that this was a genius tip. So I wanted to reshare it with you. If maybe you hadn't watched her episode, you should probably watch her episode. Just go over there and check it out. And subscribe. But she, on projects with a lot of stitches, she'll place a marker close to the end and close to the beginning and count. This works with projects where your increases or decreases are on either end of your garment, project, shawl, whatever. So she'll place the marker maybe like 10 stitches from the end and 10 stitches from the beginning, and she'll count all of those stitches. You know, if it's 200 or 300, usually a big round number, so that when she comes to a row where there is an actual stitch count on it, all she has to do is count the beginning stitches, the end stitches, and then add it to what was in between those two stitch markers. I thought that was amazing because, again, during this exploration station, I'm counting out 400 some odd stitches. Towards the end, I just didn't even care. Whatever amount I got was fine with me. All my increases matched up and all of my eyelets matched up, and that's all I cared about. But I thought that was an amazing tip, and I definitely wanted to share it again because, like I said, it bears repeating. It was awesome. So I think I will start using my stitch markers for things like that, making my knitting a little bit more mindless, cluing me into when I have to do something so that I no longer have to count stitches anymore. But up until this point in my knitting career, I hardly ever used stitch markers. Even on those socks, I'm supposed to use a stitch marker to mark like the center back, but I just kind of split. Let me show it to you since I'm bringing it up. I knit with 3 DPN needles. I put all of my top or instep stitches onto one needle, which is this one. Yeah, my battery's gonna die on me. Let's hope I can get through this section. So this is all of my instep and top, and then these two are my heel, what makes up my heel. So I moved my center back stitches, or where I was supposed to place a marker is where I go between these two needles. I don't know, maybe it's the actual motion of moving a stitch marker from needle to needle that I don't like, but I hardly ever use markers. I try and come up with other ways not to use them, or I just don't use them. Hopefully I'll start using them again. Okay, so I was trying to outrace my battery and talk faster, and it didn't work. So I was at the end anyway. That is my show. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say about using stitch markers, and I was going to have a bag update this episode, but I didn't get too much sewing done, so I think I'm going to do it next week, and hopefully maybe I'll show you what I'm putting in the shop. Yeah, that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining me this week. If you're sticking around for the video, that will be in a couple minutes. And come back next week, subscribe if you haven't already. Come back next week and I will be showing off some machine knitting. I will be unveiling my May yarns for my swatch challenge and my monthly sock challenge. What else? Maybe I'll talk about my new monthly research topic and some more spinning. What else did I say I was going to do? Oh yeah, and I'll go over what I did for the design challenge for ArohaKnits. I did it again. That's not how you say it. Anyway. I'll go over the whole design challenge because it's a week-long process, and I'll be able to show you what I did for that. Yes. So thank you very much for joining me. If you are not watching the video, if you are, I wanted to take a couple minutes and describe what I'm showing you. So I went to Jerusalem this past weekend for the holiday of Pesach, and to spend it with my brother and sister-in-law. And I took the opportunity to take some footage around Jerusalem. So the first thing you're gonna see is some video of Machane Yehuda, which is their shuk, which I talked about in episode 12 when I showed you Shuk Carmel. I mentioned this one as the major one in Jerusalem. It's the one where all the tourists go to. But it's massive. It's so huge, and my footage is literally of one tiny street on it. The thing that I wanted to point out is it was, when I was there, it was Friday around 4 p.m. And because it was Shabbos and it was a holiday, it was dead in Jerusalem. It's like a ghost town. So I wanted to point this out to you because you'll see in a lot of the photos and footage that I show that businesses are closed. About 90% of businesses will close. And I found it kind of incredible because one Shabbos that we were there, my husband and I, we went out Saturday afternoon to just go and grab a coffee. And it was the same thing. It was like this. It was a complete ghost town. And then Saturday night, we went to go and grab dinner with some of his friends. And it's hustle and bustle, and there are people out, and businesses are open. So it's just it was a little mind-blowing to see the two extremes on something that I wasn't necessarily used to. Daytime Saturday, everything's closed. Nighttime on Saturday, everything's open, and people are out and grabbing ice cream together and grabbing coffees and meeting up with friends. And it just wasn't something that I had experienced before. So I found that kind of cool. So I really wanted to point that out to you in pertaining to my videos because it's the same kind of experience. There was hardly anybody on the street. I mean, there was still people out and about. Most of them were visiting and tourists. But it's kind of a really cool experience to see shops closed on a Friday afternoon, late afternoon. Anyway, so you'll see Machane Yehuda. You will see, I went into the old city, Jerusalem's old city, which is made up of 4 quarters: the Jewish quarter, Armenian quarter, Christian quarter, and Muslim quarter. I didn't go into each of them, but what I did film was you'll see one marketplace, which the old city is basically set up it's like a labyrinth with really narrow alley streets is really what it is. They have a couple rows for cars in there, but majority of it is walking around. It's very hilly in Jerusalem in general. And they have these marketplaces on either side of you, and it's just shops, rows of shops with tourist tchotchkes and everybody telling you to come into their store and look around, and I've got this and I've got that. It wasn't that crazy, again, in my video. I'll have to go back to Jerusalem and show you these places again with the hustle and bustle, because especially Machane Yehuda is a crazy shuk full of people, and like you'll see in my video, it's like 4 people walking by, like so empty. All the shops were closed. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you, is that you'll be able to see the shutters with the graffiti art that I explained in episode 12. Okay, I need to speed this up. I'm almost done explaining, I swear. Okay, so I've got the marketplace in the old city. I've got the church of Sepulchre, I think is how you pronounce it. It's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I have a video of the Western Wall, also known as the Kotel or the Wailing Wall, and in the background you can see the Dome of the Rock, which is on the Temple Mount. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Yeah, the Dome of the Rock is the big gold dome. You can't miss it in the background of the Western Wall video. And okay, on with the show. Here's my video and a couple photos, I think, mixed in there. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for joining me this week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
1,000 years with no place to be, and them want me to give them my milk and honey. Don't you see? It's not about the land or the sea, not the country, but the dwelling of His Majesty. Jerusalem, if I forget you, fire not gonna come from it.
على كل هلا انا هي بعثت له صوره كامله بعثت اياها كل شيء. طيب بسمي على الكل عندك. اوكي يلا.
Mostra il telefono.